Welcome to the Let's Talk Basic podcast, where girls talk about everything basic.
Join us as we sit down with a glass of wine and see where the conversation goes.
Kick back,
relax,
and get ready for the ultimate girls' night in.
I'm your host, Joanne.
And I'm Vanessa. Awesome. Welcome back to this week's Let's Talk Basic podcast.
Welcome back. Cheers.
Yay. And we are actually joined by a special guest today.
Yay!
This is our second special guest.
Yeah.
And
this one has a name.
It's not just like
honored.
Yeah, it's not just basic woman.
Yeah.
Her name is Christina. Christina, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
So, tell our listeners a little bit about yourselves and I guess how you know the both of us as well.
Oh my gosh, how do I know you guys? I have to think about that. Okay. Well, my name is Christina. I am a 30-year-old Korean Canadian living in Toronto. I have been married to my husband for just under 4 years now, I guess.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know, whoa. I work in human resources at a tech company in downtown Toronto. And I really like really nerdy things, I feel like. Like, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I like a lot of, like, different, like, fandoms, like Marvel and stuff. Sorry. No, that's lame. Love the Raptors. That's something all three of us have in common. And I know I met Joanne through her husband.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. Like, pretty much way. Like,
oh my gosh. Like
maybe almost 10 years ago now? I don't even know. Maybe not that long.
Maybe not
but
that
yeah,
long.
somewhere between 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I met Vanessa through Joanne, because as you guys know, Vanessa was Joanne's roommate, and we actually emceed Joanne's wedding together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so it's kind of funny because today we're going to be talking about interracial relationships. And Christina, who's been in a relationship for, well, I guess married for 4 years and together for 7 years with a white guy. Exotic! Yes, lots of experience.
I am an expert. Yes.
I feel like I'm pretty new to the situation.
So wait, Joanne, just I need a refresh as well. So how long have you been with your husband?
So we've been married for 2 years and together for 5. I think.
And for those of you who don't know, Joanne's also married to a white man. So I'm going to be kind of playing host here today and really kind of dive in and ask a couple questions about how your relationship came about. But really what I want to know is both of you being Asian and having, being married to white men or bringing white men into your family, what were your parents' first reaction?
Bringing the white man.
Yeah, so like...
It sounds like Pocahontas.
Yeah, like I really want to know, so Christina, when you brought your husband or your boyfriend at the time into the picture... did you have to tell your parents?
Oh, yes. That had to definitely be an upfront conversation. Yeah. You couldn't just bring a white guy.
Okay, so I think we want to know everything about, like, how you even began kind of talking to your parents about this situation.
Yeah.
What was their reaction?
And how did you, like, kind of did you have to ease your husband into, like, meeting them for the first time? And
I mean, I gave both sides, like, warnings.
As you do, like, you need to.
I don't know how much, like, I didn't really ease them into it. It's just kind of like, here's the deal, like, mom and dad, and here's the deal, husband. So it wasn't really easing them into it.
Wait, I do have a question. So is your husband the first white man that you've dated, or?
No.
Okay.
Dated, definitely not. Brought home only about maybe the second or the third.
So special.
But, yeah, so very special. But I think for my parents, it was actually, because we were friends beforehand, my husband and I. And it was funny because he would text me randomly in Korean, like things he had Google translated that made no sense whatsoever. So I would read these texts and not understand, thinking it was like my Korean fluency that wasn't good. So I would show my parents and be like, what does this mean? And they're like, it's gibberish. So I was like, oh, and then they'd be like, oh, who's texting you?
Yeah.
So they kind of knew my husband, like that I was talking to him like that, but I don't think they really thought it was anything romantic. And then like my husband, and I guess this was like flirting really, like now that I think about it, but but he asked one day, I remember being like, oh, can you give me a Korean name? And I was like, what do you mean? He's just like, just give me like a Korean name. What's like a popular Korean name I can go by? And I was like, why do you want a Korean name? And I'm just very confused. He's like, because it's really cool. And I was like, okay.
What is it with them wanting like ethnic names?
It was weird. Yeah.
What did you give him?
I asked my parents because I was like, I don't know. I know all of like 5 Korean names, like the members of my family. So I asked my parents. My parents were like, okay, tell me about the guy. Tell me about the guy. Like what does he do? What does he like? Things like that. And honestly, at that point in time, like I knew him as a friend, but I didn't know him super well. So the only thing that came to mind was, oh, he wants to be a police officer. And my mom was like, perfect. Like your grandpa was a police officer. Let's give him my like grandpa's name. So like they got to know him through that. Yeah. But I feel like
what was that Korean name?
It was Hojun.
Oh,
yeah, Hojun. Yes,
cute.
I know.
That's very cute. But so they kind of got to know him through that. And then eventually, like, I don't know, probably like 6 months to a year after I was actually dating, when I was like, hey, parents, I have something to tell you. I am dating a white man. And it is the guy who asked for a Korean name. My parents at that point, I think, because, I mean, not that he was even that old, but at that point my parents were like, oh, finally you have a man. So they were relieved. Yeah, they were relieved more than I think. So it was a pretty positive experience from the very beginning. But my parents were definitely like, does he speak Korean?
Oh.
Does he eat Korean food? Like, will he go visit Korea? Will he be buried in Korea when he does? I'm like, I don't know. I've been dating him for 6 months. So. That's kind of from the parent side. Yeah, so it was kind of easing him in. And then on my husband's side, it was very, like, my parents are super Korean. They will not understand what you're saying. Like, don't be rude, be respectful, like, respect your elders. Like, it was just very, I feel like, normal Asian parents. Yeah.
What about you, Joanne? Did you have to prep your parents?
Oh, yeah, of course. I feel like with any relationship, you have to.
Like, did you guys have similar experiences? Or?
I think similar in the way where you kind of like, you sprinkle mention of them before you like actually, bring it up.
And was your husband the first white?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like have always dated Asian guys, like Chinese guys. So that was like, I think,
change.
Very different for them.
So how did you tell them? Or how did you sprinkle it?
I feel like how it kind of went down was my brother being the brat that he is. I was like, oh, Joanne's seeing a guy. Like, just threw it out there in the middle of dinner. And they're like, oh, like, who is this person? And obviously at the time I was like, oh, we're just friends. Nobody important.
Ignore him.
Yeah. And then the next dinner, maybe like a few dinners down the road, my brother will be like, oh, Joanne's seeing a guy, and like making fun of me again. And then this time I'll be like, he's white. How would you feel about that? And like, if it's not well received, then it's like, oh, so he's black.
Just try them all out.
Just try them all out, and then like kind of sway the conversation. And then kind of hint that he's actually white.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did they react?
I think they were kind of like, oh, why? Can't you find an Asian guy who can speak Chinese?
Yeah.
And like, joking back and like throwing it back at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just to put it in perspective, if you're not Asian, right?
Yeah.
Like I think the fear that I think Asian parents have when, someone, their daughter or their son are dating someone of a different race, is the number one thing is that it's the fear of the language.
Yeah, they can't speak to
right? I don't know if it's necessarily like, oh, they don't want you to date someone else, but it's more like out of convenience. They would just prefer us to date, people of our own race because that's what they're comfortable with, right? So
for sure.
a lot of, like, I think I can speak for the three of us. I think all three of our parents are immigrants.
Yeah.
Right. So we immigrated here. This is kind of like the first wave that, like, I'm still an immigrant actually.
Yeah,
so,
same.
For my parents, this is something that they're still kind of easing into. So I'm not necessarily saying that, they don't want us to date outside of our race, but I think the first thing that is immediate to them is a language barrier.
Literally, one of the first things my mom said to me was, when I told her that I was actually dating him, she's like, huh? How am I going to talk to him?
Exactly.
Mom, you went to school in Canada.
But I think they're always embarrassed that oh, my English is not good.
Yeah.
Or
totally.
I have an accent. I'm no one cares about that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
But that was totally the first thing.
Oh, 100% one of the first questions.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So, okay, during your first meeting, was there any kind of funny moments that you're oh gosh, please don't ask that question? Or was there any really funny, awkward, or kind of highlights that you can share with us?
For mine, I was prepping him okay, when you meet Chinese families, you call them auntie and uncles. That's really, really normal in Chinese culture. So you can just call them auntie and uncle. And he goes in and he's Mr. and Mrs. Ho. Oh shoot.
I mean,
yeah, and I'm okay, all of that prep work.
Way to listen. Yeah.
What about you, Christina? Can you recall?
Yeah, actually the very first time my husband met my immediate family, so my mom, my dad, my brother, and his girlfriend, we went to a Korean restaurant up in Thornhill area. But I mean, so language barrier once again, but my parents, they don't speak English very well at all. My mom's a bit better because she interacted with customers kind of in her job. But I remember she was trying to give us relationship advice because I think she was just so happy that I was finally in a relationship. But so she was trying to explain it in English because she wanted my husband to understand as well. But I remember her just being the key to a healthy, happy, successful relationship is you just have to make love. All day, every day, make love all the time. I know, it was so mortifying. So I just looked at my brother. We're both just trying not to laugh because we still want to be respectful. But oh my gosh, I looked over at my husband and he was just, he was mortified. He was okay, I'm meeting my girlfriend's parents for the first time. I'm trying to be respectful. I want to laugh, but I can't. And it's also one of those things where it's her English is okay. So she's literally telling me to have sex with my girlfriend all the time. I know. So we were just Mom, I don't think that's what you're trying to say. My mother's very stubborn, and she was just no, this is absolutely what I'm trying to say. So it was very awkward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so awkward.
It was super awkward.
That actually reminds me of a time. This isn't with my husband, but my dad took me and my girlfriends out for dinner, and he was trying to talk to us. He was telling us a story, and then somehow it ended with, and I'm a virgin.
Oh. Your dad?
Yeah.
It's my father, that's obviously not true.
No, what are you trying to say? I don't get it. He's no, I'm a virgin. I'm no, you're not. And my friends are just what? They're all giving me looks. And I'm I don't know where this is going.
That's hilarious.
And he's well, my birthday is in September.
Oh, he's just
Oh my god.
Your friends are all probably is Joanne adopted? I don't understand,
Where is this coming from?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh my god. I would just not even question, just move on.
Yeah, I know. Just ignore totally.
I don't want to talk about it.
I know. Actually, one of my favorite stories with my husband, when he asked my parents for my hand in marriage, he set up a dinner with them, I think. He went over to my parents' place. He brought my brother along to help translate.
Yeah.
But this is how he tells the stories. I don't actually know what went down because obviously I wasn't there. But he apparently went into this very impassioned 5-minute speech about how he loves me so much. He's going to take care of me and, he's going to support me and be with me forever and all that. And he said it in English, obviously, and expecting my brother to translate. And apparently my brother just, like, turned to my dad and was just like, he wants to marry Christina. Like, that was the translation. And then my dad was like, okay. Yes, like, approved. Like, I was like, aw, I'm so sorry. Like, what happened to you?
Well, your dad must have been so confused.
I know.
I'm sure he said so much more.
I feel like so much of our family gatherings is just like him sitting there being like, yes. Just like nodding.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So, when after your first meeting, did your family have like a debrief on what they thought about the guy at all?
I feel like you really like this debrief thing. It's not really a thing.
It's a thing in my family.
Oh, is it really?
It's like we're mean.
Okay, what was your debrief like
For which
for
one?
your current partner?
Oh, that. Oh God, this is not gonna be good. They basically said, he's not very handsome.
Looks are always the first thing, but it's not.
And then he's like, how long was his last relationship? And then I told him, like, not committed. And then he's like, a lawyer likes to argue. Like, there's so many things.
Oh, I would have
And
told
then-
that lawyer would be like,
Yeah,
A+, like,
good.
check mark.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I really thought that this was going to be a home run.
yeah.
It was not a home run. And then he's like, he seems like he doesn't eat a lot. That was another criticism.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so like it was my family does debriefs on everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's just my family.
No. Yeah. Like, I never sat down with my parents and my brother being like,
I probably also.
hey, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys feel? But, I mean, like, just through regular conversation afterwards, they were just like, oh, like, we like him. Like, don't lose
Yeah.
him.
You guys
Don't be
are-
single again. Like,
Yeah. I think like
Yeah.
if there's nothing like bad
flags.
like no red
Yeah.
flags. If the things that they don't like is like, oh, he's ugly or something, like things that are mean, they
Yeah.
probably would just keep it to themselves.
I think they didn't say it, but
Yeah.
they really, really liked him. Just basically.
I guess the next question is like, what are some of the major cultural differences? So when he married into your family, were there like New Year's traditions, or were there like, you know, like things like Red Pockets, or things like Mid-Autumn Festival that we celebrate, like, and maybe going into his family, do they do Christmas differently? Like, what are some of the things that like they do that you're like, oh, I never had Thanksgiving like this before?
Yeah.
So where do the come of like some of like the major cultural differences that you love, and you're like, and some of them that you're like, I can do without?
One of the first ones that come to mind is, you know how in TV shows, like families will gather around the dinner table and like hold hands and pray before they eat. That actually happened.
Stop,
And I was like,
really?
oh my gosh, it's
That
so
is so
cute.
wholesome.
I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time, but when we were like still dating, it happened, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, but they don't do it anymore?
Well, it was like a bigger family. I think it
Oh,
depends
like a
on
big
like who.
family gathering.
Yeah,
Got
it
you.
depends on who.
Yeah.
You're
is
like, oh
there.
my God, I'm in that movie.
I know, it's so lovely. I think it was like
know.
Thanksgiving too,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh my gosh, they have a real turkey. There's no sushi.
Yeah, that's so true.
Every single Asian kind of potluck you go to,
100%.
Yeah,
There's
there's like a
definitely-
sushi
Who's
platter.
getting the party tray?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And like, I don't even know if it's a culture. I mean, obviously there's the language barrier. That's huge. And it like, I don't know. Like, sometimes I think about it, it makes me a little sad, because I'm like, oh, my husband's never going to be able to have a heart-to-heart with my dad or with my mom or something, right? So I would say that's probably the main thing. And then I don't know if it's a cultural thing or just my family, honestly, but the biggest difference, I think, is how much time we spend with like each other's families. So we
Yeah.
probably see my family about once a month, and it's always a dinner, and it's usually out at a restaurant, and it is done in like an hour and a half. Like,
Yeah.
we eat, and then my dad's like, okay, see you guys, like,
Yeah.
don't want to be here any longer. Like, my dad has literally just walked out the door after he's done eating, like, while we're still there. So like, that's probably the main thing. Whereas with his family, it's like a whole day affair.
Yeah.
Like, you go for maybe 11, like, you're there, you hang out, you have some appetizers, and you kind of eat a very early dinner.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a whole day. Like, that was a big thing. Like, the main thing, I think. And then with regards to, like, holiday traditions, kind of the same thing. Like, our Christmas is no different than just, like, a regular monthly
dinner
gathering, other than the fact that now we have presents to give to each other. So... Whereas his family, actually, is really cute, kind of like your story, Joanne. But that was the first time I ever got a Christmas stocking.
That's so
I
yeah.
know. I was
my
like,
God.
oh my gosh.
I
this is
didn't
so
know
cute.
that people actually put
I
things in the
know.
stockings. Like, I thought it was just
a
like,
decoration.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It blew my mind because I'm like, hold up.
yeah.
You get a Christmas gift
and gifts in a stocking.
Are you for real? And like my mother-in-law is incredibly generous, so they are
Yeah.
good stockings. Like gift cards, like root socks. Like they are nice stockings.
Yeah.
So I was just like mind blown.
I know.
I was like, but I already got my one gift this Christmas because that's what I'm so used to.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean I get 20 other things? Like,
I do not
That
experience this. I get either money transferred to my account.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm used
It's
to.
like, how much you want this year?
I know.
Or my dad will be like, I'll pay your phone bill.
Yeah, totally.
Here's a red pocket.
Yeah.
Actually, grab some money from my wallet.
I know. My family will call each other and be like, what do you want for Christmas? Here's your limit. And they will tell you, like, down to the cent what they expect you to buy. So it's just, all right, here you go. With his family, it's very different. Like,
My parents are like, stockings? Number one, we don't have a fireplace.
I know.
Because that's inefficient in a household. And then, like, second of all, it's like, oh, and all it does is hold dirt. Like, and then they don't even want to put up the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Oh, then you have to put it back down.
It's also practical, yeah.
Real tree. What is that? All the pines
know.
will fall down.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I think one of
Totally.
the first cultural differences that I found was when he came over to like where I was living and like wore his shoes into the house.
No!
What the heck?
And I'm like,
People do that?
what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just going to grab something really quick. I'm like, no. Like, I'm freaking out inside.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I feel like it's such a normal thing.
It is.
Where
It
they'll
totally
just,
is.
Oh my gosh.
like, that was
I
the first thing
know.
where I'm like, this is weird. Like, I think a lot of Asian families are very strictly, you
You stay on the mat.
leave it on the mat.
Yeah.
And like, then you wear slippers inside.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Oh my
it's even like
gosh.
another level. So it's like, when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, like,
No,
we
like,
are so different. We're two different people.
Okay, but so
Yeah.
I guess he's changed for you now because when I come into your household now together, we take our shoes off. So is that something?
No, well, like, he would take his shoes off generally, but if it's like, oh, I have to run in to grab something, I'll keep it
got
on.
it. Okay.
Whereas I'm like, no, you take your
No.
shoes off,
Yeah.
you go get it, and then you go back and put your shoes on.
Like, I don't care that it's 100 laces. Like,
Yeah.
take it off again. Like,
It has never even crossed my mind to be like,
No.
that's something you can go do. Like, you go in with
I
your
know.
shoes.
Yeah.
No, it's like even now we have a very small doormat in front of our door, and that is the only area where shoes can be touching the floor, basically. But sometimes you have to do like acrobatics to like, stay on it while like not touching the actual hardwood.
Yeah. That's something I had to change, I think, where I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like, I'll just Swiffer it after.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, I'm a lot better with it now, but like, the first time I was like actually shocked and
going
appalled.
I don't know if this will work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'm like the opposite. Like now my husband's just like, I'm like, stay on the mat. Stay on the mat. Yeah.
You
Like,
train them
it's
the other way.
Yeah,
They trained me.
Oh, that's hilarious. Actually, you know what's a big thing I feel like too?
Yeah.
Is, and not that this was with my husband. Like I kind of got over this before him, but drinking tap water.
Yes.
I feel like that was
my
just
gosh.
never done.
Okay, this is not an Asian thing because mine does that too, and I get very annoyed.
Like they drink tap water?
They drink tap water.
Oh no, my parents.
My family does not.
Oh, I have a funny one. Okay, so no, my boyfriend is not white. He's Asian, but he drinks tap water. So there was one time he was at my house while my parents were, in the kitchen, took a glass and then tap water, and my parents' jaws dropped, and my mom literally ran beside him, took the glass, dumped the water, and then he goes, and then she took this boiled water, obviously.
Yeah.
And
like it's in a kettle already.
Yes.
It's cooled, so it's like cold water.
But it's like, no, but it's not
warm,
cold. Yeah, but it's
warm,
like
room temperature.
Room temperature water. And she pours it in his glass, and he's like, "Ooh, this doesn't taste good because it's not cold."
Yeah, that's
and
totally
then my mom's like, "Oh, water, room temperature, better for your skin." And then you know what he did? He went to the bathroom, poured it out. Oh
my god!
Oh, that is ballsy.
And then he
had the water.
That is ballsy.
He's like, "I don't think your mom is right." And then I'm like,
oh my god.
That's so a thing too, though.
Yeah.
Like every time I ask for ice water, my mom's like, no. And like it was funny because when I was a kid and I asked for ice water, she'd be like, no, like it's not good for your insides. You're a growing girl.
Yeah.
Like high school, university, it was like, no, don't drink it. Like it will give you pimples. Like for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
or like if you're on your menstrual cycle,
Oh yes.
never allowed to drink cold water or
Yeah.
eat watermelon.
Yeah,
Oh, I never
yeah.
had the watermelon one.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
if I drink ice water, it's like, oh, that's not going to be good for the future baby. Like, I'm like, okay.
It's so funny.
So many-
It's a real thing though.
It is.
Like,
Totally is.
I think that happened where my husband was filling up tap water and my grandma would be like, tell him not to do that.
Tell them we have real water.
So true.
And even now, I think the washroom tap water was a really hard thing to get over. Like,
Oh, even me still, I'm kind of like,
yeah.
I personally can't do it. Like, if I had to do tap water, it has to be in the kitchen. I know it.
I know.
yeah, I totally
know.
agree. Yeah.
It's
But,
weird, but
I have a weird thing. I think
Yeah.
we're just conditioned to
I was going to
think
say, it's
that
just
way.
been too many years of thinking tap water is like poison. So, yeah.
Okay, another thing. I don't know if you guys have a funny story about this. Were there any weird foods that your husbands refused to try? So, like, think about, like, maybe, like, first time at dim sum. Or, like, for me, personally, even now when I see chicken feet, I can't eat it. So are there, like...
feet.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess, like, were there different
Yeah.
foods that... they weren't accustomed to eating when they were younger, and then like now that they're in
there's
your family,
so many things that they weren't
Agreed.
accustomed to eating.
Agreed.
but now they probably
But-
love it.
Not necessarily.
Tolerate.
But like
Yeah.
they would do like they would eat it or they would try it at
Okay,
least.
so what are some of those foods?
So I think I kind of mentioned this on a previous episode, but like my family tries to weird him out as much as possible. So like every time we go out for family dinner, they'll like order something weird that I haven't even tried before, and they're like, "Try it," and like force my husband like put it
Basically
on his
torture.
plate. Yeah, well, like they just want him to experience
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
And so he's eaten like bitter melon. I'm pretty sure he's eaten like frog legs, fish, like the fish cheeks, which isn't like weird, but
Might
still
be
like
weird
a
for
weird
him,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. We always try to make him eat the like pork butt piece. He hasn't done that one yet because it still has like the tail attached to
Yeah.
it. The only thing that he's like tried and will refuse to eat is durian. No.
Yes.
He tried it.
I am with him there, though.
Yeah.
That is not a taste I like.
I love durian. It's like this really stinky fruit that like for different people smells like different things. So like for my husband it smells like garbage. For some people it smells like onions. For me, I'm like, it smells like creamy sweetness.
Yeah,
And it
delicious.
smells
What are you
good.
talking about? I know.
Yeah.
I'm
So like
not gonna lie, I've never had it.
oh my gosh, you have to have
Yes.
it.
Never had
Although
it.
to be fair, I think I only ever had it in ice cream form. Like
Yeah.
that time, I don't think I ever had the fruit.
If you don't like the ice cream form,
I
you're not
probably
gonna like
that's
the
what I
fruit. So it's just like, yeah, something we'll have to get you to try now.
Yeah, seriously. I don't think there's really. So I mean, yes, there was a lot he had to get accustomed to, but I
Yeah.
mean, he like also because he wanted to impress the family,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, they're like same with Joe's husband. He was willing to try pretty much anything, but he was like he had a very basic palate before,
Yeah.
so like he never had Korean food, like never knew what it was, like what it consisted of until we started dating. So
Yeah.
that was a big change for him. And Korean food can be spicy. So that was also a big change for him because he had no spice tolerance before we started dating, and now it's gotten a lot better, which is great because I feel like now we can actually cook with taste. But I don't think there was really anything too weird that we made him try. Like there's some things that he didn't love. Like he tried the vinegar noodles, right? Like, which he didn't love the taste of. But I feel like Korean food, especially because it's gotten so trendy in the past couple years, like he'll just stick with like the bulgogi or like the tonkatsu or like the jjajangmyeon, like the very like basic kind of first time everyone tries Korean food, this is kind of what they eat stuff. So I think he kind of sticks with that. Like he doesn't love kimchi, but he'll eat it. Yeah. So it wasn't anything too crazy he had to try, but it was definitely all very new to him. Yeah. So
That's good to know.
Yeah. I think something really funny too is every time we go out for dinner, my parents will now order sweet and sour pork for him.
Oh, that's so sweet. Even I like that. You know what? Like this is the thing. Once you've been, in an Asian family for so long, like they forget that. Like they plague like sweet and sour pork or like honey garlic chicken or whatever as like those,
or chicken balls.
Those are the dishes that like the white people eat.
Totally.
Yeah. But you know what? I love sweet and sour chicken and I love like sweet and sour pork too. Yeah. So it's something that like I wish my parents would order more.
Yeah.
They're so
it's
good.
True. It is delicious, but now it's like every meal there is going to be a sweet and sour pork.
So that he has something that he enjoys. Or
just in case he doesn't like anything else.
That's nice of them. That's nice of them.
Yeah.
I know that we've talked a lot about like family traditions and traditions in like during holiday season and whatnot. But what about wedding traditions? Because I know that I've seen photos from both of your weddings, and there's definitely some Asian traditions that were implemented. Yeah. So can you guys talk about that? Were they pretty? Did they like that experience, or were they? Yeah, like did they embrace that and kind of take us through how that tea ceremony went and whatnot. And you actually had a wedding in Korea.
Yeah. So I think that, it was a very enjoyable experience overall because, like you said, it was in Korea. So we just made like a big trip out of it. A bunch of friends came with us. It was also the first time I'd been back to Korea in like 11 years. So it was a big deal. And my family, like I love them, but they always go all out regardless of whether they just saw me last week or not. Yeah. So especially after not having been there for over a decade, I knew that they were going to pull out all the stops, which they definitely did. Yeah. So Joanne was there.
It was awesome. Yeah. So much fun.
He just rented like a giant bus. Like he took us around on I just feel like it was a food tour of Korea. Like we just got to eat every hour. I feel like. Yeah. I was uncomfortably full that entire weekend. Yeah. I was never not full. So full. But no, it was a good experience because I obviously wanted him to meet my family. Most of my family is still in Korea, so I wanted him to meet like my grandparents and my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. It was great because they all made it out to the Korean wedding. And I knew pretty much from the get-go, like once I knew we were getting serious and we were going to get married, that I wanted a traditional Korean ceremony. So it was really great being able to experience that. I think, honestly, I think he probably just found it really hilarious because he had no idea what was going on. Yeah. So for me, same here, I didn't really know what a Korean ceremony consisted of. I kind of knew bits and pieces of it, but once I got there, they were like, oh, we're going to narrate everything that happened. So I was like, oh, great, not a problem then. Just tell me when to bow, I can listen and see what everything symbolizes, so it's great. But obviously my husband has no idea because it's all in Korean. Yeah. So he had no idea when to bow, when to do much. So people would just literally have to force him to bow, push him.
Yeah. And there's specific types of bows too.
Yeah, there's the long bow and the short bow. And then I don't know why, but the man who was trying to teach him these different bows, he just kept being I understood. And honestly, I just do a terrible job at translating for my husband. I basically just assume he knows Korean, so I'm not very good at this. But the guy was like, okay, so if I let out this grunt, that means short bow. If I let out this other grunt, you do a long bow. So I'm like, makes sense. To my husband, he's like, no, this man's just grunting at me. I don't know what's going on right now. And there was like, oh, do you remember there was that one part where it was kind of like he needed a Korean best man.
Oh, of course I remember
this is the part that I heard about, and I was dying laughing. This is the best.
Yeah, so he needed like a Korean best man for the Korean ceremony. So not someone who had to be Korean, but so we chose Joanne's husband to kind of play that role because him and my husband are very good friends.
Yeah. And of course that makes perfect sense because they both don't understand Korean.
Yeah, so why not? Why not? Yeah. So he had to take on this role. So he had to get dressed up in a traditional Korean hanbok with a hat and everything. And honestly, like, my husband could not stop laughing.
Yeah.
And, like, it was hilarious. But I was like, stop being disrespectful to
And
my
it was
culture.
it was like a solemn Korean ceremony, too.
Yes.
So you just see, like, Christina's husband, like, hiding behind this panel, trying so hard.
Every single
for
photo,
stop
like,
laughing.
candid photo I have of that wedding is just my husband smirking the entire time, like, trying not to laugh out loud at Joanne's husband. And, like,
you're gonna have to share one of the photos with our listeners.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You guys, yes. I will send it to you guys. You can post it on your Instagram, whatever it is. But, yeah, he was just in this hanbok. He had to, like, carry, like, this wooden duck as well, which he was doing incorrectly, I think.
He
Like,
needed to, like, pass this wooden duck to your husband.
yes. But
And,
with
like,
both hands.
With both hands, but he didn't know. He just was like, okay, I have to pass this duck. So he, like, hands it over to him. And apparently, like, the officiator or whatever he is, like, just almost smacks the duck out of his hand.
Like, was appalled.
Yeah.
Like, apparently nearly caused our marriage to end in ruins. Like, yeah.
He was so offended by the way he passed the
he
duck.
really was.
I need to see this duck too.
Yes, they'll be in the photo I sent you. Don't worry. But no, it was a really fun experience. And it was really great that Mark got to see kind of where I grew up and where I came from. Because, I mean, I was born there. Like, most of my family's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just fun. Like, I mean, for people who've never been to Korea and, like, you know, different cities within Korea, it's just a really fun place to go visit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's honestly, I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased, but it's so fun, like, so lively. The food is great. There's just a little bit of everything, I think. So, and it obviously helped that, like, my family, they did everything for us. So, like, they were awesome.
Okay. And for Joanne, like, were there any kind of parts of I know, like, you did a Chinese tea ceremony. Was there anything that that really stood out for you?
So I think everything was kind of melded into one day. So we had like a Western style ceremony. We had the tea ceremony. We typically, before the tea ceremony, there's like the games that like Asian families do to like earn the bride.
Oh,
so
door games.
The door games. So we did some of those. And I think other than that, it was pretty westernized. But I feel like we had to really like merge the cultures a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Like some of the elements that you want to kind of kind of tie into your wedding.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like a big thing like my family wanted to do was like a Chinese banquet, like 10-course meal kind of thing. Like his family is not going to eat that. My husband is a special case. I think you have to understand that. Like, I can't put his grandparents in front of a lobster dish with the head staring at them.
Because I think your husband's grandparents are a little bit more traditional.
Yeah,
as well,
like they eat their steak well done. Like that steak stand. It's like meat potatoes and like,
okay, got it.
And like to throw them with like a mushroom ifu noodle and like lobster head, a shrimp claw. Like I don't think that's gonna fly.
It take a lot getting used to.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess to kind of you guys talked a lot about the cultural differences and then all the different things.
all the things.
I just wanted to maybe just kind of like talk about where you guys started as an interracial couple and I guess where you guys are now. Or maybe talk about how you guys started as a couple.
We were an interracial couple.
So maybe talk about some of the challenges that you guys overcome and like how it maybe made you guys better.
Do you have anything?
Not really. I mean, it's nice getting like exposure to different customs. Like Christmas, like a white Christmas is great. Like it's so awesome. Like it's just exactly like out of the movies. Like, So all that stuff is really cool. But
And like cottage life.
oh my
that was
gosh,
never-
yes, cottage life.
Yeah.
Oh yes, huge perk, huge benefit for sure. And
What else?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think-
like talk about the pros and cons, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
I think so. Pros.
Cottage life,
Cottage
Christmas.
life, Christmas, you know, all just like the traditional holidays.
Celebrations.
Right.
Yeah. It's
celebrations.
much of a bigger thing.
Oh, huge deal. Yes, agreed. And I think just, like just kind of being able to, like, I like introducing my husband to different Korean things, like Korean foods and stuff like that. And
family is so different too.
Yes.
Like, I mean, my family's great too, but I think there's a big seniority element where like the kids all hang out together and the adults hang out together.
oh, yeah.
Whereas with my husband's family, it's like everybody hangs out together, everybody talks and socializes like you're all peers. And that was like a really weird thing for me because I'm like, why are you like asking about my life? Like,
Yeah.
you're like so much older than me.
Yeah.
I was not used to that.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And like, and I guess it's a cultural thing. I don't know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But just like, I've never had, like, I love my mom and we get along, but I've never had the whole, like, my mom or my dad, they're my best friend. Like, I go to them with, like, I need relationship advice. Like, I've never had that relationship. And I feel like that was very strange. My husband told me, he's like, yeah, like, I talk to my mom about everything.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? But she's your mother. Yeah.
One of the
So,
things
yeah.
before my husband and I got together was like I was just not sure about him, and he was like, "Yeah, I talked to my mom about that." And I was like, "That is weird." Like, yeah. But yeah, it's like a normal like friend relationship.
Yeah. And like, I guess, and I think for like Asians, it's just very much like, you are my elder and I respect you, and there's like that kind of distance between us, not like in a bad way, just you're like on another level.
Yeah. And to like build on that, like I think for my grandparents, there's a huge respect element where like you're supposed to look after them, you're supposed to like carry them like when they go down the stairs or when they're walking in general, like you put a lot of effort to like make sure they're okay and cater to. For like his family, I think his grandparents would be offended if I tried to like hold them like while they walk or get up from a seat or something.
Yeah.
So I like had to like remind myself that they're independent people.
Yes.
Which is like very weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would not know what that would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's...
Yeah, I think I tried to do that like at the beginning because I'm just so used to it. Like
totally.
when I see like a grandma like standing up,
Yeah.
I would like help them.
Yeah.
But like I think she like almost like swatted me away. Or something like
What
that.
are you doing, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
That's true. Have you ever felt like any sort of like discrimination or anything like that being an interracial couple? I mean, I think we're pretty fortunate living in Toronto, but
Yeah.
just...
I don't know. I think I'm like honestly a little bit used to it, like the weird stares or anything that we would get. I think there's like a few things where, because I dyed my hair blonde, so from the back, I guess sometimes I could look white. And there was one time where like a woman came up to like talk to us and was like kind of taken aback, like turned around. And like his sister saw him and was like, she was like that because you were Asian. Just like kind of teased us about it.
I know. Like, I don't know if it's just you tune it out now. Like, I've never really felt anything super overt, really. But I think it's more...
I think that in the Toronto and the GTA region, probably wouldn't get any looks. I think once you get up a little bit to the north, like cottage area, you might get some looks.
Yeah, I think it's when we went to, so his family had a family vacation. This was recently after we were engaged in South Carolina. So we drove through West Virginia to get to South Carolina. I remember we stopped there. I think we stayed the night there. But I remember just even like getting out of the car to go to a gas station, like just go inside, get some candy or snacks or whatever. And we walked out and we were holding hands. And just the amount of like people who got whiplash from staring at us, I was like...
That's so weird.
It was the weirdest feeling. Like, it made me feel very uncomfortable. And, like, nobody did anything or said anything. But I was just kind of like, oh, like, this is not normal here at all.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, like, how people might mistake you for being white, I get it with the last name a lot. Like, people talk to me on the phone or we email, like, at work or something. But then when they meet me in person, it's kind of
Wait, can I ask you guys about that? Like,
yeah.
Is that an advantage or do you think that's a disadvantage?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
I think it might be an advantage to a certain extent until they feel shocked by it.
Yeah,
and they meet you and
maybe.
they're like, oh, I feel deceived. I don't know. I haven't changed my name at work, so I don't know.
Fair. Like, it's just more so like the shocked looks when people finally meet you after speaking to you over the phone. Like, they see my name is Christina, you know, insert white last name, but like
Christina White.
Yeah. But then when they see me, it's like they're very clearly taken aback. Like, to the point where I'm kind of like, you can hide that better. This should not be that shocking. Like,
I
have
a funny story. But my husband's mom, and I don't know if I'm allowed to tell this story, so I'll have to get permission later. But my husband's mom's maiden name is White.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's what reminded me. Her maiden name is White, so she sent me a text message, like kind of early on in our relationship, saying, "Hey, like, we have a white family Christmas on December whatever." And then she had to follow up that text message being like, I meant my maiden name is White.
I love that she taught herself. Yeah. Like, that's hilarious.
She was so embarrassed. I would never have thought, because I knew that her maiden name was White, so I never would have.
Okay, because like honestly, like when you even said that story, I was like, oh, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, this the white family Christmas. Like, like, do I have to bring stockings for everyone? I don't know.
Okay, one more story on discrimination. When we went to our honeymoon, part of the trip was related to our family reunion on my side of the family. So this is like my uncles and aunts from all over the world, and like we met together on a cruise. So we were in New Zealand. And we were going on an excursion together. There's like 30 of us, so like 30 Asians.
30 hoes.
Yeah, and like my new husband, who's not, Asian. So we're going on this excursion, and you kind of like get a number, so they're like let you off the boat by your number. So it's like, okay, all the 30s like leave. So we're piling out, and then the guard stops my husband, and he's like, "Oh no, sorry, there's a private tour."
You do not belong.
You don't belong. He's like, "No, I'm with them." He's like, "I don't think so."
No, sir. No.
You're mistaken. I had to go back and get him.
Oh, that's too funny.
That was the best one.
That's hilarious.
I remember that one. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's so good. Oh man, I love it when things like that happen. Like, it's just so hilarious. Not like discrimination, that is bad, but like funny stories like that. Like when my husband gets so offended, like if we go to Asian restaurants and they're like, "Oh, do you need a fork?"
Yeah.
Like just to him, like things like that really get him riled up. He's like, I had better chopstick skills than you. Your mom told me so. And I'm like, yeah, you tell the waitress.
Yeah.
You tell her. Like,
Totally. Well, I think that was a great episode. If you guys have stories, feel free to share with us on our Instagram or DM us or email.
And we'll be sure to get Christina's Korean wedding photos so that you guys can see exactly what we are envisioning.
yes, I think there's really one of Mark just smirking.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having
and joining
me.
us. And we will talk to you guys later.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Let's Talk Basic podcast. For more exclusive content, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk Basic.